Hello everyone, welcome back to Planet Coaster. Today we are back here in Hex. It has been a very long time, I know. I'm very sorry it's been a while since the last Hex episode. However, I just haven't really been that motivated to actually do Hex. So the last episode we went and did the Madhouse, which is just here, but it did take quite a while to do, and it was quite complicated actually to get the last looper that goes around it to actually work, and a lot of people have been asking me about how exactly I did it with the last looper. So what I'm actually going to do, I'm going to make a tutorial video and I'll be going up after the new year. So yes, we are going to move over to the actual main thing today, and we are going to completely restart with the tower entrance, whatever it's called, the facade, the tower entrance, the entrance to the armory. Basically that's what we're going to be starting off with today. So yeah, let's get back into Timelapse, and I'm actually going to structure the video a bit differently to show you a bit more of what I'm doing. So then, starting off, I use a concrete column piece to make the concrete supports that the tower has on each side. Now, I've used this concrete column piece in the last recreation to do the exact same bit of Hex, and I'm doing it here as well, just because it works so well, to be completely honest. I then make another concrete column adjacent to it and lower them down to make sort of a base column. I then get a roof tile and make sort of a slant that it has in real life. I'm not really sure what the technical term for this slant is, but that's basically what it is. I copy these roof tiles onto the other ledges, and then I extend these concrete columns to the height that they need to be at. After I've extended the height, I then copy this concrete column over to the other side as well, and then use another concrete column to make sure it's aligned properly. Right then, so now that I've done these sort of pillars that go on the side of the tower, I'm not too sure what they're actually called. We can now move on to the main tower itself. So for the main tower, I do plan to use some wall pieces with a mixture of these column pieces, as well as some roof tile pieces and wooden column pieces, just to give it a whole mixture and actually make it look like proper brick, because the brick walls in the game are just stupid. So yes, let's get into another time lapse. So then, to start off, I grabbed a wooden column piece from the menu and placed it parallel to the other one. I then stacked it on top in a different position to make it like the bricks in real life. So you stack on the bottom and then you stack between the gaps on the top, and it's just how you do bricks in real life, really, and that has worked very, very well. I have to say, it really has worked very well for this Hex recreation so far, and of course the finished result is what you saw at the start of the video in the starting cinematic before the logo came on screen. So yes, this method of brick sort of thing actually worked quite well. It was my first time doing this sort of brick method, and it generally does work much better than what I did before, which was just the column pieces stacked next to each other but with roof tiles placed on top of them in random places. Whilst that looked okay, it looked decent, this method just looks so much better than the method I used before. So I am just sizing it correctly at the moment to make sure it does, you know, work. Then I stack them on top of each other to actually make the tower itself, and cut out holes just to put the windows in. You might also notice I've left a gap for the bottom. That's because I don't plan on doing the bottom just yet. That'll be later in the episode. So then I have basically completed the wall, and what I did, I used wooden column pieces in sort of a pattern, changed the arrangement of them, and it makes this sort of bricky, I don't know, multicolored brick pattern, which is exactly what the real Hex looks like. And let's compare that to the old Hex that I had before. That's on your screens now, and you can see quite a noticeable difference. I think this one is much better. There is still a bit of detail to be added, of course, because at the moment it does look quite plain and bland, so we do still need to add a few bits of detail. That'll come up later in the video, but for now we need to move on to the windows and also this front section here. So let's do that. So starting on the time lapse, once again I am moving on to the windows, where I thought about doing the method just like before, which is slant the wooden column piece in a bit and actually make it look like the window is indented. However, that is not how Hex is in real life, and in real life Hex actually uses these sort of columns or whatever, the window sills, and they go all around the frame, the window frame, that's what it's called. It uses sort of a brownish greyish window frame like I've just done there, and it has the window in that. So that's what I'm doing. Not sure what I'm doing to this wooden column piece just there. I generally have no idea. Maybe it was just slanted a bit, I really don't know. Just recoloring the wooden columns just there to make them the exact right colour that they need to be. I don't know why I was colouring them when they weren't in the sunlight, because of course in Planet Coaster you should be colouring your buildings or, you know, structures, whatever you're colouring in direct sunlight. That way you can actually see it much more clearly and better really. So I don't know why I was colouring it in the shade, because you can't really see that well. Here I'm using roof tiles to get sort of a arched window shape. I do end up using these different roof tiles that I'm doing right now, and they worked very well. They did work very well, these roof tiles. So yeah, I then copy and paste those roof tiles over to the other bits of the window and place some glass in there. So after placing the glass, I then use these Thememaker's Toolkit's Q-line pieces to make sort of the window supports, or I don't know what they're called, but these metal bits that used to go in windows. Of course we don't have them anymore in the modern world, but in the olden times they would have to put these metal fittings in the window. I really don't know what they are or what they're used for, but using those Thememaker's Toolkit pieces to do that. Those Thememaker's Toolkit pieces are absolutely fantastic. If you don't have the Q-line toolkit pieces, definitely get them, because you don't have to use them for a Q-line, you can use them for whatever you want. I use them right now for those window frames. I also used them for Nemesis's Q-line in my old recreation, and yeah, you can literally use them for anything. So here I'm actually starting the top windows and just using the bottom one as a template just to make it easier for myself really, because the windows are basically the exact same thing. However, they are very slightly different. The top ones are taller than the bottom ones, so that's a problem right there. But all in all, they are basically the same thing. And yeah, that's the windows basically done. So then moving on to the next part of the time-lapse, we go to the bottom of the tower where we are going to start work on the actual main wooden door that guards the entrance to Hex, and we start off by placing these bricked columns on each side to give us sort of an outline of where to actually put the door. Now this can actually help quite a bit, because if you build your door first and then you've got no room whatsoever for your columns to go, you got a problem there. So always do your door last, because then you can maybe always just make a, I don't know, a solid wall of columns and then put your door on top of that, and it would still look like a door, and it would still look like there's a gap in those columns. So here I'm just doing the arch to the door, and you might notice there, hang on, that's a bit short. So I actually realised that during this time lapse, and I extended the height of the tower so we can actually get the actual size of the door in. Now I think this tower was short to start off with, so I'm not really affecting anything right there. If anything, I'm actually correcting stuff, so that's quite good. It was quite a pain to actually go back and just re-edit the height of the tower, because you never really want to do that in Planet Coaster. You just want to get your building done, and you don't want to go back because you've made a mistake. I do that quite a lot of my Planet Coaster recreations. I have done that a lot of times where it's just, I've realised I made a mistake, but I'm too far ahead and I don't want to go back and just go, oh, it doesn't really matter that much. So now we have the actual height of the door, we can now go and start making the door. So for this I use the regular arch shapes just like last time. I am using the exact same method as the previous door on the previous Hex recreation, just because it worked so well and I don't think it really needs to be improved. So with the arch shape in place, I then recolor it and add some wooden columns to make it look like the actual real life door. To make the tiny little dot sort of thing that is on the real door in real life, I use more arch shapes. This time I use half spheres so they don't cut through the other side of the door, because you don't want to look on the other side of the door and then just see a sphere there, now do you? So I'm using half spheres so they don't clip through. Copy and pasting these onto the other panels of the door, we then have our door. Now we can put in place very easily, and that is kind of the end of it really. That's the end of the tower, however not finished just yet, because we need to do the top of it. So then we've now completed the 3 windows on the front side of the tower, and we've also done this bottom bit down here that has the main door into the ride. So what we're going to do now, we are going to move on to this top section, the roof or the turrets, whatever you want to call it, and for that we're going to be using roof tile pieces, a lot of column pieces, and some art shapes in there as well. So yes, let's get into the time-lapse, and also I do need to fix these because they are poking out a bit. So then we are now moving on to the top of the tower, and that is the turret and the corner turret. I have no idea what they're actually called, but let's just call them the turrets. So for the base of the turret, I'm using the concrete column, which is very slightly, why am I saying very slightly? They mean 2 different things. Slightly bigger than the wooden column that I've used for the actual tower structure itself, and this is because the column that supports the turrets is just slightly bigger than the wall bricks in real life. Now I am using the concrete decor piece that you can find in the wall decor items, and it actually works quite well for like a sort of corner support. What would you call it? I have no idea. And using the roof tiles for the little tiny supports that individually go along the concrete column, and that's exactly what I used last time, as they just worked so well. To be honest, they really do work so well, and they actually do look quite good. So copy and pasting them over the entire wall, then I copy and pasted the column, and just to make sure that it can actually line up properly, that I've actually done it properly, and I delete that so I can move on to the corner turret itself. So for the corner turret, I used the brick column pieces. I thought these were the absolute perfect piece to use because they actually do look quite similar to the real thing, and in order to actually make the turret pieces, I used the small wooden 1 meter columns and then the roof tiles on top of those to actually make the turret. After doing this, I then copy and pasted the wall and the turret along each of the 4 corners to make a full roof. So then that is going to be it for this episode of Hex Planet Coaster. You can see here that I have added in a few more details that I accidentally left out during the time-lapse, but they are now in there. So yes, it's been a good episode. I've made good progress on the rebuild of Hex. I think this looks much better than the old Hex before it got deleted. Of course, the windows are now closer together as they actually are in real life. You'll see on my old recreation, the windows were quite far apart. So yeah, fix that. I think overall the actual structure looks better. I like how I do prefer these wooden column pieces instead of the concrete column pieces and then roof tiles on top of them like with the old one. I think this just looks nicer, to be honest. So yes, in the next episode we are going to finish this, and we are going to move over to the clock tower area and this wall just here, as well as the extended queue line. In the new year, after Christmas, the Friday live streams will be making so we will be doing a bit of Hex in Friday live streams. But yes, it's been an absolutely fantastic video. I'm glad that Hex is finally getting back onto track, because I have been avoiding Hex over the past few weeks because I've just not really been motivated that much to actually work on Hex. But yes, thank you very much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the video. Now I'll leave you with some cinematic shots, and I'll see you all very soon. Goodbye.